All right, I've squared away the papaya and we're now moving on to your next episode. So we talked about getting out of debt, building your money, increasing your income, side hustle, social media. Now we're gonna talk about mistakes, errors. Believe it or not, I got scammed. As thoughtful as I am, I got scammed. And so that's another thing. When you're trying to build these things, make sure, number one, you don't get scammed. If it's too good to be true, it likely is not true. And that requires asking questions as to how the money is generated, how you produce income, and other curious questions. It's also worth to see it on site, exactly what's going on for these types of investments. That way you have like a physical proof of its legitimacy. And even, asking other people if it's true or not, that does not necessarily mean that it's not a scam. And it's scary when you've actually experienced that type of thing. It's almost unbelievable that you got scammed. So don't get scammed so you don't get yourself into debt. 2, make sure you only loan money for which you can afford to lose. Trust me, I've done that so many times. If you receive Facebook messengers, it's Facebook Messenger, okay? Especially when it starts with kumusta from a person you haven't talked to, then be prepared to respond. I am for helping people. I love helping people, but sometimes that gets taken advantage of. So make sure you ask the right questions, or if you're willing to give the money without additional questions, just think of it as a gift, as in you're not getting anything in return. Yeah, just to protect yourself, because if you think you're gonna get paid back, it's very unlikely. That's never happened to me, by the way. Well, I guess, no, it happened to me once where the person actually paid back, but this is after serious conversations. But most of the time, you don't really get paid back. So be careful with scams and only loan money to people you trust, or money that you can afford to lose. 3rd, which is ones that's really underrated, insurance. I remember what my accountant told me. Insurance is something you'd rather have and not need than not have it and then actually need it. Because if for whatever reason, the most obvious example would be health. You don't have health insurance and then you get sick. That's really scary. I've experienced that as well. When I first came here to the United States, I got hit by a canopy. There was people building this bed. Imagine like a princess looking bed that has a canopy, and then it has like a bar on top of it, and they did not secure it. And when I pushed one of the columns, the heavy wood like landed on my head. So I ended up in the emergency room, and it was like just the visit alone, no imaging, just the physical exam by the doctor. It was like $700, and that was like early 2000s. Can you imagine what it costs now? And then imagine if there was imaging that was required. And then imagine if something serious happened in my head, having a brain injury. So thankfully it wasn't, I was fine, but it's very scary when it occurs. And living in America, it makes you more risk averse because the consequences are so severe, and in financial terms, it could be severe too. So you gotta have insurance, and rather not need it than need it and not have it. Okay, think about don't get scammed, loaning money, and then having insurance. The next one is fear of missing out. That's a very true emotion where it leads us to making poor decisions. And that can come easily with purchasing. Like, last minute, this will be the sale. This is the only sale. Or you gotta invest with this because otherwise we only have 50 people. Only 50 people can get into this investment, etc. So that's a really real emotion. You gotta be aware of that and manage it and pause. This is what scammers also do when it comes to like emails, that has the malware provoking, eliciting fear. That way you act on that fear. And so pause, if that's the strategy, then almost that it's not a good thing to respond. So be aware of fear of missing out. The last time I cooked this, I remember we went to a beach house in San Remigio, an Airbnb, and we had some ampalaya, and I thought maybe I could cook it, and it turned to be so bitter. So I wanted to redeem myself by trying this again. It's been a while, so I wanted to practice anyway. So I'm supposed to cut it, get this thing out, and soak it with salt and water for about 20 minutes. So hopefully that works. The last thing is nature. Envy. Kana bang sa Bisaya magsuya-suya. Kana, who has the biggest house, who has the biggest car. Although thankfully, I never felt that way, having to prove myself. But if you have that tendency, Be aware of your emotions, and that wealth is not necessarily reflected on the things that you have physically, but it might be other non-tangible things like your health, having a good relationship with your family, but just trying to outdo, as far as what you can show to the world and what you have. That's a sure way to get into debt again. Like, who has the biggest what? Lisod na bigyan kayo na i-fight. Moro to siya, guys. Simple raman. Uy, nakay gusto i-add. Nakay feedback? Wala na. Wala mo daw siya i-add, guys. Okay, till next time na po. Kaya praro makaluto na juguan eh. Bye! It's very good.
Taste test!
To make sure.
Did you, it's good.
Tarong ba? And my first guest is none other than Mel Mondigo.
It's like influencing is technically
Marketing and
marketing
sales.
and sales. College, that's when I started selling clothes.
Aesthetic, clothing, and dressing up. What does that mean for you? It has to be paired with hard work. Kugi and blank to get to.
Kogi and